Okay, thank you. I'd like to introduce Brent. Brent's working with me on seeding Ridge through ANZ currently.
So when you look at Andy and I, so the dog and pony show, if you like, I talk about things, he makes them work. So that's kind of that's the reality of things.
Most of the time.
So what we're here to talk about today is we do have a product. We've spoken to a lot of you about that, but what we're actually here to talk to you about is the Mythos project and what happened with that. Right? What is it? It's a range. It's a community of organisations that have come together and built a large language model to test vulnerabilities and take it through to exploit. First time this has happened, right? So this is a unique
Identification 0 day. So breaking code, finding modules that are exploitable, and then going all the way through to 0 day.
And what this is, and I'll read this out, right, because this is an important piece. The collaborative effort from leading security organisations defines a strategic framework for future-proofing your defence against emerging AI-driven threats.
So we're here presenting both a strategy paper, which is a response to what's happened in the last probably 4 to 6 weeks, basically.
Yeah. And the bottom line is this: the most peer-reviewed document that we have ever seen, right?
In the quickest amount of time.
Yeah. And the kinds of organisations that have taken part in this drives this like the seriousness of the thinking, and it drives the seriousness of the threat. And when you think about it, building a Mythos-ready strategy is what we're going to talk about today, or what Andy's principally going to talk about today, because it's mostly technical. Having said that, mostly technical means it's not all technical. This is a business problem. It's no longer just an IT problem. And the reason this is a business problem is that this now turns every single business into a resilience problem issue. And that resilience is based around operational, financial, regulatory. If something stops you from operating, you need to have a plan. Tools will do a range of things, but you also need to have a plan. A strategy is a bigger picture. It's what you start with, what your journey, and the journey where you start and where it goes from. To give you a picture of where this is, of the whole thing, Andy will give you an understanding of everything around what an exploit is, where it came from, and at the end I'll come back and tell you how you can play with us.
So I'm going to be the doom goblin today. I didn't make this up. You can't make this stuff up. And we basically were subbed in midway through the week. So we didn't come in with any merch. We haven't got any nice pens or T-shirts. We've got nothing to give away. You give us an email address. Brent will promise to follow up as many times as he can to make a sale, and we'll give you a nice strategy document, which is basically what this paper is, right? So I'm looking at a heavily peer-reviewed strategy briefing, or an expedited strategy briefing that came out on the 13th of April, and I'm looking at it, and it's great for business, right? Like, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, we do adversarial pen testing, we do CTEM, we're partnered with PB Tech, and we're taking this to market today through PB Tech. So you can consume AI and manual penetration testing as a SKU today across both North and South Island with PB Tech. You can sign up for a continual assurance service, which is basically the same product running each week. You'll get access to your own deployment, whether it's external or internal web apps and APIs. And then we're moving forward with some other offerings in the very near future as well. So, look, we've got something to plug. You've seen it on the screen. You know we're here with a product-driven outcome, as is everybody else in this room. Everybody in this room has a place to play here today. There's no way to look at it. Like, if you get breached, you need, EDR vendors and AV and SOC responders. And the difference is that there's a heavy distribution of budget misallocation within ANZ that is going to reactive measures today. So, as Brent said, it's a business issue because some businesses may not be here in 2 years' time if something gets inside. And that's the reality. I mean, what we've seen with Mythos is the ability to do a 0-day turnaround within 20 hours. And there's been recent reports of 10-hour new vulnerability identification, exploitation, full POC, off we go. You can't patch. There's no way to mitigate that. And at the other end of the briefing, there's basically a very stern message that if you do get pwned and something comes in, it's coming in and it's coming for everything. Like, you've got to be ready for multiple exploitation attempts, not just one. It'll throw everything it's got at you overnight if it's inside your organisation. Look, Doom Goblin, is it end of days? I don't think so. I think that, we're going to learn a lot over the next 2 years, and it's a very changing landscape. So I'm just going to go back to basics and take everybody on the journey today, right? Who pen tests regularly in this room, just to start, so that we understand, like, who's had a pen test in the last 12 months? Okay, we need to have a think about getting you guys tested a bit more regularly. New Zealand-based hygiene is annual. US-based hygiene is quarterly today. This document refers to traditional testing as quarterly. A lot of American companies also have teams of pen testers to take vulnerability management findings, to take attack surface data, and then actually pump them through in a manner where they're exploit testing. They've got a sprint team ready to go in the morning. So that's not us. We don't have those luxuries. So we need to look at other alternatives and other ways to address these challenges. So who understands how a vulnerability works? It's a problem, right? Like, it's an issue. It's a bad library. It's a piece of code that's poorly written, and over time everything is exploitable. That's just the given nature of it, right? You have enough time, enough energy. Mythos took $20,000 USD worth of credits to hack the OpenBSD issue. So you've got to ask, is that even relative? I mean, if they're not releasing it, what's going to happen in the future? I mean, $20,000 worth of energy to do that. But it doesn't take much more than a large infrastructure language model with a whole bunch of developers around it to go and find something for me to go to the black market today and download an MCP with a model that I can say, go and have a look at that software version and that module and go and spend 40 hours hitting it. There's an issue with it, go find it. And it will just keep trying. And there's a high chance that it will exploit that over time if you give it enough time. And we've got Kali Linux out with like AI helpers now. So the script kiddies are on steroids, right? Like, the amount of attacks I'm seeing on my border today, I had a run at the back door the other day. We're running Lepovis, AI-based decoys. We're very much in that offensive security space. So I'm going to keep moving. I'm getting to hurry up. I was told I could have a bit more time. So CVEs, POC, okay? Proof of compromise, exploitation, exploit in the wild, CISA Kev. There's a time frame, right? This stuff takes time. That's a timeline. Where we are today, we've got traditional vulnerabilities on the left, and we've got an increase in AI-based vulnerabilities on the right. Now, this is all your language models and your finance team spinning something up, and off we go, and it's going one way, isn't it? And the AI-based risk is 34% higher year on year than the actual traditional vulnerabilities, libraries and packages and software and web applications and APIs. So it's only going one way. Like, it's not slowing down. So is this evolution of LLM-based activity having an impact? Well, hell yes. So 24th of June 2025, Expo got to top of Hack the Box. Now, I've got manual pen testers under Cipher who are very good. They're in the top 20% globally. They don't have time to play Hack the Box because they are working, right? To get to the top of Hack the Box is no easy feat. Now, there's a development team behind it, and they invested a lot of time and energy and effort into getting this model ready. It's a SaaS-based offering. It's good. Ridge took it to pieces at the RSA conference in 2025 for the whole week for everybody to see. So I'm very happy with the model that we've chosen. I'm very happy with the path that we're on. I'm very happy with the quality assurance we get with our testing using the tool sets that we've got. But we're now in this situation where there was a singularity warning in September around autonomous vulnerability discovery and exploitation, same time frame, day, hour. That's happened, 7th of April. That's exactly what Mythos preview did. And we're now in this situation where missed pauses enrichment for vulnerabilities due to backlog. Can anybody have a guess why that is? They're frickin' swamped. Now, what's the roll-on effect for that? All your attack surface management products are going to suffer because they're a calculated algorithm of risk requiring this today to work. So your ASM capability right now is going down the drain. Okay, moving on. There's a lot going on here. This has been a 10-month whirlwind for anybody in the security space, right? This is a paradigm shift right now. So compounded with a bigger problem, which is exploitable risk. These are vulnerabilities that are exploitable by year, right? And if you look at 2018, we had 2.3 years between it was identified as a vulnerability, it was exploitable in the wild, we could patch it, 2.3 years. We're in the hours territory now, days, hours. There's a really good doom clock called zerodayclock.com. If you don't want to sleep at night, have a look at it. It's really fun. It's worth having a look. It's quite enjoyable. But look, you can't deny what's happening. I mean, we've been looking at it for almost 8 years. It's here. And a lot of us have been doing nothing about it. I've got a lot of customers that have just been hiding and traditionally, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and hope it's okay. It's not okay. In 20 hours, how does a vulnerability go from identification to proof of compromise, exploitation, and somebody registers a CISA Kev ticket for it to be added, right? It's vulnerability researcher, massive heavy infrastructure language model. We're now in this territory where even the Kev can't register the vulnerability in the time or even retest or validate it. So how's a vendor going to put out a patch? I mean, what's everybody's patch cycles in the room? Most of my corporate accounts are like a week. It's a week between patch cycles. Patch Tuesday, Microsoft, you know. It is what it is. Like, we can't stop this, right? It is what it is. So you'll hear the AI vulnerability storm. This is the coin phrase for what I've just taken you through. The journey from what's happening, how the language models are having an impact, and where we're going. And it's interesting. Don't shoot the messenger. So obviously security hasn't changed. It's the speed. And it's the scale. And it's the complexity that is in market now that can be turned around and headed back our way. So we're hearing about all of the adversarial benefits, right? But there's nothing in market that I can really sign up to other than the products and tool sets that I've got today to validate my risk. And a lot of them are just brochure and hype. I don't want to rubbish any vendors. Attack surface management doesn't even port scan a vulnerability scan. There's no depth. And now with like no NIST, enrichment data, I mean, what's the point? All their algorithms are out the window. So vulnerability management works great if you're a Fortune 500 with a whole team of pen testers to pick up your scan data the next day and run forth, and the first person that goes and finds an exploitable risk item gets a bonus. And that is exactly how big industry works in the US and in Asia. We're not in that market. So traditional security is going to be very challenged with where we are headed. This is a big shift. And remember, I don't just make this up. This is like an expedited security briefing from the 13th. And come and see Brent, and we'll give you the whole paper. It's got a risk register. It tells you what you should be looking at. I would suggest you grab it off us, because at some point, some governance, risk, and compliance person will be coming in going, "This is where we're headed, and we're going to grade you on this today." So grab a copy. Yeah. Yep. So annual pen testing. I mean, look, it's better than nothing. You may as well know what's going to happen if somebody comes at your front door. Vulnerability scanning, missing the context. So traditional vulnerability scanning for everybody today is a knock on the door, header response, version information to my database. It's vulnerable. All of the web development companies are in a tailspin for OpenSSH, 9.61, vulnerable. It's backported at Linux. You patch it, the version stays the same. Every vulnerability management platform still calls it vulnerable. It's hilarious. Vulnerability management can't fix it because they can't test it further. So you need to validate what the risk is. If you can't validate it, you can't prioritize it, right? So, and please don't throw anything at me, sock vendors in the room. And the reality is we're spending all of our money on reactionary controls. Oh no, they're in the building, my endpoint's been popped, somebody's come in, they've come in through there, or that web app, or the firewall, they're in the network, and they've hit my endpoint with the EDR product on it. Boom, noise, lights up, right? Well, I've got customers that we do IR for, and the reality is you can spend 6 months trying to get them out of your network. 6 months. Because they're sitting on the printer, or they're in the projector, or they're in the building management system, and every time you go and find out where they were and you get them out, they've got another command and control location somewhere else. It's just the reality of the situation today. The focus is so heavily on reactionary, and it's needed. But we've kind of forgot to close the doors. We're not assessing, are the windows open? Where can I break in? And you're not going to have time, because when the wave comes, it's pretty chaotic. If you get hit by an LLM, it doesn't stop. It can even overwhelm your firewalls, your web applications. You'll end up with things crashing out. Anyway, so ask yourself, how often you're testing? Are you validating exploitability? Were you winding me up? Okay, sorry. Look, how fast can you respond? I mean, you need to know what your risks are to be able to respond. So IR is a requirement, because if you can't get them out, everything's going to burn. But you need to know where they're coming in from, and you need to be able to understand how to triage when an incident happens, right? So operating at attacker speed, continuous testing is recommended as the solution in this paper. There is a full risk register. Come and get it from Brent. Like, you just tick off the items. It's all about continual testing, exploit validation, chained exploit validation, and knowing what you're actually supposed to triage. I mean, it is pointless today to take a Qualys Tenable or Rapid7 report to executive leadership team and show vulnerabilities. It's pointless. 5,000 reds, criticals and highs, and 20,000 mediums and lows. That's what some of my base looks like. Some of my accounts that we support look like that every day. And we just laugh because there's 5 items that they need to fix. That's the difference with having a pen test function or validation function versus just scanner single point noise, header response noise. So I'm just going to pull something up that I've been running all day. This is the solution that we are pimping our wares on today. This has a full agentic platform online that you can run testing on today. I'll get there in a second. I'm just trying to get through the capture. So I'm not going to keep you guys for much longer. Bear with me. What's happened? I get cut off.
It's very, very simple. It's clean.
Oh yeah. Smooth. Hold on. Here we go.
Do you need your TV?
You're vulnerable.
I might be back over. Oh, here we go. So look, this is a virtual appliance that you can put inside your network, and you give it loop back on the firewall, and you can hit all of your web applications on the outside, all of your IPs, and you can test anything you want. There's everything in here. There's attack surface inventory, except it actually port scans and crawls every URL and every port and anything it can find. So it's different to a risk-assessed algorithm. We've got web application testing, and it's the most awarded API testing product in market today. It's cleaned up at the RSA conference for 2024, 2025, and 2026. That's Global InfoSec Awards. That's like the pinnacle of technology roadshows. So a standard job profile on this, we've got full disclosure of what it's doing. Full Nmap, port scanning, port enumeration, vulnerability scanning, option of whether you want to actually do exploit testing or not, yes or no. You don't want to be disruptive, or you're fearful on the first run. I've only taken out a web server once that had 2 mega memory assigned, and that was a hosting issue. So lateral movement. This is where DAS tools, vulnerability scanners, they never do chained exploit. They don't do lateral movement. They don't come in from the outside and move their way through your DMZ networks and into your internal networks. You can define how many hosts this pwns. That's the difference. Plugin lists. Again, this is not the vulnerability signatures. This is 36,000 test scripts. So this product itself is called adversarial exposure validation. It's called continuous threat exposure management. It's AI penetration testing. There's really no other way to look at it. Does anybody remember when Farmers Trading and Whitcoulls went offline around this time last year? I do. I was in there trying to buy some socks from my old man. So what you're looking at now is a profile, and proxy shell is still a very real risk in the market. People don't even know they've got it. Exchange management shell's exposed. It's got vulnerabilities. There's vulnerabilities on the Exchange server. The difference is you have to exploit this in a chain. So a vulnerability scanner would look at it and go, proxy shell. It's a web application. The libraries, binaries look right. Off I go. Move on. Rich goes, proxy shell. Let's go and act this vulnerability exploit because I've got a module for it. Success or not? Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next one. Full server compromise, evidence of exploitability, right? So I've been running an API test today because this really sorts them in from the boys in the DAS testing. And I'm just going to clone this job to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, this is a live test target. So this is demo suicide in a way. We're going to go testinvicti.com. The vulnerable API is here. It's got multiple levels of authentication, and we've got a really big swagger. And a swagger is basically a definitions file that defines what the purpose of the endpoints are for use, right? You have user authentication, bearer tokens, and you have endpoints that are basically how your web apps are communicating with your backend today. You can have one API, multiple front doors, multiple web apps that are making use of it. So look, this is a great test site, right? Invicti is a good scanner. So I'm going to go and show you guys how this looks. So we just chuck in the user creds, got a bearer token, there's passwords here. We've got 3 levels of auth here. Now the reason we've got 3 users, and you only need an admin and a standard user, and not anybody in this room will probably understand this, but to do broken object level access testing with an API, which is where all the good hacks happen, manage my health, you need an admin account that has functionality for the whole solution, and then you need a user account that you test to see how far it can go from an access controls perspective. So we're running a live pen test, and you can see it here. I've run it about 10 different times today. The interesting thing is Invicti, NetSparker, Acunetics, and Vulnerable Web were the best test targets in market to go and ask a manual pen tester to go and actually show you what he's capable of, right? Like, if somebody's like wanting to work for me, I'm like, go and hit some of these targets. Let's have a chat. Vulnerable Web has been offline for 3 months because it's been pwned so hard by a large language model it's not coming back. 3 months they have not been able to restore this site. This was test PHP, test ASP, Vulnerable Web. Like, there's a lot in here of value that's no longer available because it's offline. This is what AI will be doing to everything at some point down the line if you're not aware of what your exposure is. And I was really sad because this test PHP had about 6 different SQL exploits, login bypasses. It was a great showcase. So look, this is effectively what kill chain analysis looks like and attack path chaining. It's all documented here. Now, I'm showing you this, and I'm showing you a product that probably looks quite scary, and you're like, wow, what's going on here? And this is AI pen testing. There's no other way to look at it. We've got sensitive information disclosure. We've got 2 AI models. We've got CNN, KNN, traditional maths-driven AI, and then we've got a small language model for PII and false positives, right? So you can even change the language models here. This has been in market for 4 years. Nobody's even seen it. We brought it in as a QA tool 2 years ago, and my relationship with Ridge was quite fractured at the beginning because our feedback was pretty rough. We're like, this is what the manual testers think you need to do. Like, we can't use it unless you bring this in. And they've just kept adding and adding and adding. And look, I lost one of my best testers in the Philippines to this company, and they've got a massive contingent of ethical hackers and data scientists working on an outcome. I've tried Claude Command. I've got it running. I've got it pointed at Kelly. I've got it pointed at Metasploit. I'm trying. It's hit and miss. This is not hit and miss. This is zero false positives. And at the end of the day, this is full exploitation of an API with multiple levels of authentication. So all it takes is one of your users to get phished, and something like this on the outside comes back at you. Remember, this is a 4-year-old product. It's going to be full Gen AI by the end of next quarter. It has to be. Their new Gen AI capability is better at API testing than my best ethical hacker today, and we have tried our best to outrun this thing. It is scary. So today you can have an appliance that can sit anywhere you want, yourself as a license sale, and it will do pretty much everything you need from a penetration testing perspective and provide you a risk grade exploit summary for board. No more vulnerabilities, no more guesswork, no more numbers, no more 5,000. Like, literally, it's exploitation. It's evidence of exploitation. It's in black. So that's where the market needs to be. That's where your focus needs to be. I don't care about critical vulnerabilities on Apache if there's no database connected. What are you going to do with it? If you can pwn it and there's data to get, that's what you prioritize. If it leads to remote code execution, if it looks like an RCE and vulnerability scanner calls it RCE, but you can't RCE it because it's been backported, what's the point? So we're all running around not focusing on really where we should be, while an LLM is working 24 hours a day at 1 million times faster than you could even conceive what you could achieve. So I'm the Doom Goblin, and we've got the strategy document to share. Come and see us. It will be turning up in a GRC audit of some description to your senior leadership and executive director level at some point. So we're all here because we're all aware. We're all here for a cybersecurity, event. Get on top of this before the directors start asking the questions, because you do want to have an answer. It does. I mean, this is obviously an answer. There are a couple of other products in market that, personally I've played with, and I don't think they're as good. But we all need an answer, because at the moment, head of the board comes down, knocks on your door. What's our plan? What's our Mythos-ready strategy?
Think about it more like, what's our strategy? Because that's what's really key here. We're dealing with organisations today that have gone to the board with 2 or 3 tools to fix 2 or 3 problems. The board have come back and said, sounds really good, what's your strategy? And they've gone, backpedal, redo your strategy, move forward, right? So one of the things you've got to think about here is you've got to be prepared, right? The game's changed, be prepared. Start your journey today, start your planning, because you're going to need to think. You need to think about this, but no one prepared to. No one has the money to do it right now today. So the first thing you need is visibility. Move on from there. You then take continuous testing. You look at and prepare for resilience. So be prepared for things going wrong.
At scale, if something comes in, it's not going to be single point, single infection. If an LLM breaks into you, it is spraying you with everything it can find across your whole attack surface, outside and inside. There's no other way to look at it.
And that's it, right? Be prepared.
For multiple issues. If you do get breached once, you'll be popping off over here, you'll be popping off over there. And look, I am the Doom Goblin, and it's just how I see it, because I'm seeing it happen today. So quantum encryption is happening today for weak algorithms, right? There is already store and decrypt happening in our market. This is a massive focus in the US around data sovereignty and protection of data. That's happening. We need EDR and SOC vendors. Like, how do you respond? If you can't see it, how do you respond? So it's a layered approach. But please, testing, don't leave the door open. Testing needs to be prioritized. Annually is not enough. Biannually. So talk to PB Tech. We're here in market. You don't need to come and buy the flagship. You can just pay for a service outcome, and we can run this across your whole internal network, external network, APIs, web applications. Probably in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have the RidgeGen commercial release of their Mythos equivalent testing platform. We'll be able to spin up any of your web apps and APIs in that, and we'll be able to give you a view of how exploitable your risk is as well. So thank you. Have another drink. It's drink time.